Hello everyone and welcome to my Sister Wives For You channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. In a stunning twist that has electrified the Sister Wives fandom and sent shockwaves rippling through the Brown family, Janelle Brown has reportedly secretly married again, sealing a new chapter in her life that absolutely no one, including her ex-husband Cody Brown or her fellow former sister wives, saw coming, and sources close to the situation insist that the wedding was not only real but beautifully intimate, profoundly emotional, and the kind of life-affirming event Janelle had quietly dreamed of for years, even if she never admitted it publicly. And now that news is leaked, fans are buzzing with theories, insiders are scrambling to verify details, and the Brown family is said to be reeling with a mix of disbelief, envy, and confusion as they realize that the woman Cody once dismissed as too independent has finally embraced a future entirely on her own terms. Beginning with a man who insiders describe as grounded, mature, emotionally intelligent, and everything Janelle spent decades wishing she could get from Cody but never did, because according to those who attended the hush-hush ceremony, which reportedly took place somewhere along the outskirts of Flagstaff in a stunning nature-rich setting that Janelle chose to symbolize freedom, renewal, and the peace she has finally found in her post-polygamy life, the new husband brings something radically different to her world: stability instead of chaos, emotional presence instead of manipulation, and a refreshing level of respect that makes even her closest friends tear up when they talk about how happy she looked saying, "I do," especially since this was Janelle's first truly monogamous marriage experience after decades in a spiritually polygamous lifestyle where she often felt like an afterthought, a placeholder wife expected to be grateful for breadcrumbs of affection while raising kids and carrying burdens that, in her own words, weren't evenly shared. And perhaps that's exactly why this marriage feels so shocking to the Browns, because it proves that the woman who once stayed with Cody for the family has completely rewritten her destiny, choosing love not as obligation but as liberation. And insiders claim that even Christine, who is the closest to Janelle and likely the only one who had even the faintest sense that something was brewing, was stunned but thrilled when she received the official confirmation after the vows were already said, since Janelle apparently didn't want the ceremony overshadowed by family drama or turned into a reality TV storyline before she could even enjoy the moment. So she kept it secret, off-camera, and deeply personal, surrounded only by a tiny circle of those she trusts most, which notably did not include Robin Brown or Cody, who allegedly found out secondhand and reacted exactly how fans expected, with disbelief, annoyance, and what one insider described as thinly masked jealousy, because while Cody publicly pretends to be moving on with his life, he reportedly still assumed that Janelle, emotionally steady, practical, loyal Janelle, would be the last of his ex-wives to actually marry someone new, and certainly not before him. But insiders say that Cody completely underestimated her emotional growth, her rediscovery of self-worth, and her increasing unwillingness to remain tethered to a past that drained her for years, especially after the heartbreaking losses she endured in the last couple years, which reshaped her perspective on love, time, and the importance of choosing joy while she still can. So when she met the man now revealed as her husband, a private, kind-hearted entrepreneur in his late 50s who reportedly shares Janelle's love of wellness, nature, and independence, she didn't rush, didn't jump impulsively, but instead formed a friendship that gradually blossomed into a deeper, life-changing love that her children reportedly sensed long before she was ready to admit it out loud. And once the relationship grew strong enough that Janelle could truly imagine a future with him, she told only her closest confidants, opting to date quietly in order to protect the relationship from the inevitable outside noise. And according to those familiar with the couple, the new husband admired how authentic, resilient, and compassionate she is, telling friends that Janelle loves without expecting anything in return, and that her strength only makes her kindness even more moving. And that was precisely the kind of admiration she had never consistently received in her plural marriage. So by the time he proposed, privately, overlooking a breathtaking Arizona sunset, Janelle already knew she wanted to build a new life with him, one defined by partnership rather than polygamy, and when she finally said yes, insiders say she felt a sense of emotional peace she hadn't experienced since she was a young woman, long before the complexities of plural marriage changed the course of her life. But what makes this union such a shock to the Brown family is not simply that Janelle remarried, it's that she did so independently, without seeking validation or permission from Cody, without inviting sister-wife opinions, and without worrying about how viewers might interpret her choices, which is a significant departure from her past patterns and a clear sign that her ongoing personal transformation is real and irreversible, especially since she has been documenting her wellness journey, self-discovery, and newfound confidence through social media posts and interviews that hinted at change, but never revealed the magnitude of what was coming, and now fans are reacting with overwhelming joy, praising her bravery, celebrating her happiness, and speculating about how this surprise marriage will reshape the narrative of the Brown family, especially considering the fractured dynamics left in the wake of Cody's polygamous collapse, because while Christine remarried publicly and joyfully, and Mary has been stepping into independence with renewed optimism, Janelle was always viewed as the steady, cautious presence, the one who might remain single longest, the one who might hesitate to move forward too quickly, but instead she's the one who has taken perhaps the boldest step of them all. By choosing a private, deeply personal marriage that symbolizes not only new love but the complete reclamation of her autonomy, and insiders claim that this decision may also mark the beginning of a shift away from Arizona, since Janelle's new husband reportedly has property in Utah and has expressed interest in relocating somewhere that better supports their shared love for outdoor living, sustainable wellness routines, and a quieter, more grounded lifestyle, which has some fans wondering if Janelle is preparing to fully leave the remnants of her polygamous past behind, including the symbolic weight of Coyote Pass, and start fresh in a new state with a man whose vision for the future aligns with hers in nearly every way. And while her children are said to be extremely supportive, with some even shedding tears at how peaceful and genuinely happy she looked at the ceremony, the Brown family's reactions have reportedly been mixed. Christine is rumored to be thrilled, Mary quietly supportive but shocked, Robin allegedly devastated and confused, and Cody somewhere between angry, stunned, and scrambling to regain emotional control over a situation he cannot influence, a dynamic that insiders say has deeply unsettled him because, for the first time, he's watching Janelle not only move on but thrive, love, and rebuild her life without him as even a background influence. And that emotional independence may be the hardest part for him to handle, especially now that fans are celebrating the new couple as a symbol of healing, strength, and the possibility of love beyond heartbreak. And as this news continues to spread, social media is erupting with excitement, speculation, and encouragement, with some fans joking that Janelle's secret wedding is the plot twist of the decade, and others calling it the most deserved happy ending of the Sister Wives franchise. And while details of the ceremony remain scarce, intentionally so, the emotional impact of the revelation is unmistakable. Janelle has stepped into a new chapter defined by choice, peace, and companionship, leaving behind not only the shadows of plural marriage, but also the limitations that once convinced her she had to settle for less, and in doing so, she has rewritten her story in a way that is inspiring millions, challenging the Brown family's long-standing expectations, and proving once and for all that it is never too late to choose happiness, love, and a future that finally reflects the woman she has always deserved to be. And as more whispers emerge from those who were present at the secret celebration, it's becoming clearer that Janelle's wedding was not just a romantic event, but a symbolic cleansing of everything she endured in her decades-long spiritual marriage to Cody Brown, because while she always carried herself with grace, diplomacy, and a calm voice of reason amid the chaos that often surrounded the Brown household, she was also silently absorbing emotional weight that viewers only began to understand as the family unraveled before the cameras. And now with this surprising union, It's like she has finally stepped fully into her power, shedding the emotional armor she wore for so long and embracing a new life defined by love freely chosen rather than roles assigned to her. And insiders say the energy at the ceremony was unlike anything the Browns had ever created together, simple rather than extravagant, intimate rather than performed, and filled with a quiet joy that radiated through the handful of people lucky enough to witness her new beginning. And those same insiders say that when she walked toward her new husband, she looked lighter, softer, and more at peace than anyone had seen her in years, perhaps decades, as though some invisible emotional chain had finally broken and allowed her to breathe again. And for many who have followed her journey from the early days of Sister Wives, this moment feels especially triumphant because Janelle was always the one who sacrificed without complaining, the one who stepped aside for the sake of the collective family vision, the one who kept working, kept supporting, kept believing that unity was possible even as the foundation cracked beneath her. But after years of watching her compassion be taken for granted, her stability be mistaken for complacency, and her needs repeatedly pushed to the bottom of the priority list, fans are thrilled to see her no longer pouring from an empty cup, but instead being loved, valued, and uplifted in a way that highlights who she truly is when she is not burdened by polygamous tension. And according to whispers from the inner circle, her new husband has made it clear to everyone around him that Janelle will never again feel like the second wife or the backup option, but instead the center of a monogamous bond built on equality, attentiveness, and shared dreams. A dynamic that stands in stark contrast to the emotional neglect she endured in her past marriage, and perhaps that sharp contrast is exactly why the Brown family is struggling to process the news, especially Robin, who reportedly believed that despite the fractures, Janelle would always remain emotionally tied to the family, particularly because she and Cody shared 6 children and years of complicated history. But this surprise marriage proves that Janelle is not just moving on. She is building a future that no longer includes being tethered to the emotional gravitational pull of her old life and sources say this has deeply unsettled the family's internal dynamic, with some siblings trying to navigate their own reactions carefully as they adjust to the idea of a new stepfather entering the picture, though early reports say the older children are nothing but supportive, relieved, even grateful that their mother has finally found someone who nurtures her emotionally and sees her value without needing her to carry the emotional load of an entire household. And it is this overwhelming support from her children that reportedly gave Janelle the courage to embrace this new chapter wholeheartedly, because their love and pride have only strengthened her resolve to step boldly into this fresh beginning without guilt, apology, or hesitation. And now that the secret is out, many are wondering what comes next for the newlyweds, especially since conflict within the Brown family has a tendency to escalate quickly whenever unexpected life changes occur. But insiders insist that Janelle's new husband is committed to protecting her peace and keeping their union grounded, even if that means intentionally distancing themselves from the emotional storms that seem to follow the Browns wherever they go. And some sources say that the couple is already discussing long-term plans that include blending their families, creating new traditions, and even building a home together in a place where they can fully detach from the shadows of their pasts, which may mean leaving Arizona permanently and starting fresh somewhere that aligns with the quiet, content lifestyle they envision. And while fans are intensely curious, Janelle's inner circle insists she has no plans to rush into public announcements, reality show exposure, or social media oversharing about her marriage, because she wants to protect this love from the scrutiny that once shaped her life and instead savor it privately, intentionally, and joyfully, which only adds to the mystique and excitement surrounding her shocking new chapter. And as speculation continues to explode across social media platforms, with fans creating theories, timelines, and even fan art of Janelle with her new groom, one thing feels undeniable. This is not just a new relationship for Janelle, but the realization of an emotional transformation years in the making, the bold, unexpected, and deeply symbolic rebirth of a woman who once believed stability meant sacrificing her own needs, only to discover, at long last, that true stability comes not From holding a fractured family together, but from accepting a love that cherishes her, supports her, and allows her to finally become the happiest, freest version of herself. And in that sense, her secret wedding is more than a plot twist or gossip headline. It is a triumphant reclamation of her identity, a reminder that even after years of heartbreak, disappointment, and being underestimated, Janelle Brown has emerged not bitter but blossoming, not confined by her past but courageously, rewriting her future with a man who sees her worth clearly and completely. And as fans celebrate, speculate, and wait eagerly for photos or official confirmation, Janelle herself is said to be basking in a sense of peace she once feared she might never find, a peace that marks the beginning of a new life chapter far richer and more beautiful than anything she left behind.